Okay then, maybe a few of you got a kick out of our little trek the other night. I might try that again, but I'll try to pick up the dialogue some. I know we're all busy. I'm busy. I'm actually a college student at this late stage in my life. I'm a veteran, and I used my GI Bill back in the 80s and got my degrees, but this veterans retraining program came along through Congress and gave me a year to study something else. So I spent a year at PCC, got a certificate in multimedia, got one more term to go doing film production. So that keeps me real busy, but right now I'm on vacation. Fall term is coming up. Just finished the summer term. So trying to spend a little time at this. I'm a gearhead. I'm a car guy. Like I said, this is the last thing I want to be doing is talking about this stuff, because I like to do videos about cars and things, because that's my life. But I was had a car cruise earlier, and subject came up of the girlfriend, and I have to explain, find a way to explain these things to normal people while trying to stand my ground. A big part of the reason why I'm doing these videos is because I am trying to stand my ground. I'm full of rage, and I resent it that I'm stuck with this curse, and I'm trying to fight back, and a lot of people can identify with that, but not normal people. The standard advice you get is cut and run, toxic people, get away. But we know it's not that easy. Once they've locked you into their world, it's pretty damn hard to get back out of it, even long after they've split. Your mind is still locked in there. But so I try to explain. We were talking about communications. I mean, this Jekyll and Hyde personality, which is, it can be quite scary, and it's hard to explain to people this thing that they've seen in movies, but it's like it's not real. Except when you see someone that you love transform right in front of your eyes. You can start off as a nice calm evening and conversation, then all of a sudden a word or a phrase triggers something, and way off they go into a manic rage, and they got fire coming out of their eyes, or saying horrible things, and it's a narcissistic rage happening all of a sudden, and it always catches you by surprise. And it was what ended our relationship. But it's spooky to see that happen. Someone you put your faith and trust in, and you realize that there's some kind of a monster. So it's tough. Every narcissist is different, just like humans, and they all have their specialties, I guess. Mine was abandonment. She worked that very well. She had that technique down. Others use different techniques. They all use a bunch of them, but so I got onto the subject of damage. So I thought maybe I would continue on with that. We've already covered that there's usually, or popular belief is that there's 3 factors that come into the forming one of these narcissists. Maybe genetic, environmental, and then some traumatic incident. Something to do with the parenting, or maybe they got dropped on their head, or whatever, And this is generally when the child is like 5 or 6, and their brain is still developing, and they're still learning about the outside world, and things are happening to them that shouldn't be happening, and I guess their little minds are trying to make sense of it, and it doesn't work out so good, because they're not equipped for that yet. They shouldn't have had to be. So I can relate my experience. In my case, I had discussed this much with my mate. She was also familiar with narcissism. She had gone into counseling in her earlier years over a guy she had been with, and her and the woman that was counseling her came up with the conclusion that he was a narcissist. And so she had some knowledge of the subject already when we met, which is kind of unusual too. A lot of things were unusual. Some things I can't even explain. The irony and the extreme coincidental things that went on with us that I can't even. There's no explanation for it. It's like, you know, you end up in this altered state of fate, things happening that most people don't happen, and it really is. I would think that these strange things would have had the same impact on her as they did me. I mean, it was like we were preordained to find each other late in our lives or something, and then she used to say that too. But someone said that narcissists don't understand irony. They can't get that concept in their head. And her and I used to talk about that, and it seemed like she got it, but I don't know. She threw everything away, and things she would go on to do, she just shit all over everything that ever meant anything in our relationship, anything that ever was. All these incredible coincidences that had to do with us became worthless, nothing. So you know, it's what they do. So one of the other things I used to talk to her about was her inner child. And I try to probe her memory. She has an excellent memory for facts and figures and details and things. Fantastic memory for all this stuff. It's part of her arsenal she used to impress people. Sayings and verses and religious stuff and spiritual stuff and 100 different sayings her grandma said that have to do with living a better life and being a better person, which I would find out in the end, none of it she followed. But she didn't have much memory of her early childhood, and I felt the key was back there somewhere. You know, something happened, and I thought maybe she was blocking it out. She thought maybe too. So we were on the same page on that, and I tried some techniques to try to reach that inner child, so to speak. You know, I know it sounds goofy to a lot of people, but it's pretty well, in psychological circles, it's pretty well accepted that we all have this in us. I bought this tape, digital file, from a psychologist, I think back in the UK, where they play this thing, and it helps you to get you to that place to maybe where you can meet the child and finally communicate with it. So I tried that on her once, and I used it and different things like that. But I truly think that you know, that was the key. If there was a way to get in there and reach that inner child, there might be a way, there might be some hope for them. You know, I mean, it's accepted that this disorder is incurable. You know, it's a very depressing thing. You know, these narcissists, you know, they go around, I mean, they curse the loved ones that they're with, but they live with a lifelong curse of their own. You know, they've been damaged as a child. Their mind works differently, and some kind of wickedness comes in there, as whatever the reason. And they run around through life like blissfully unaware of how damaged they are, in denial about everything, and spreading damage all around to other people that care for them. So that's, you know, that's a curse. You know, and the older they get, the worse they get. Has anybody noticed that? They just keep getting worse. So let me relate my experience, my theory, as far as one of these that I was with. Her father left her apparently without a word, and left forever and never came back. So, you know, she's 5 years old, 6 years old, whatever, and then all of a sudden he's up and gone. Well, that's pretty harsh. What kind of a man would do that? Maybe a narcissist. Maybe her dad was a narcissist. Then her mother, a couple of years later, she can't take it anymore, and she gives up the kid. Her and her brother gives them up to some other family that they knew. So now there goes her mother, and she says quite dispassionately that a few years later, she says her mom drank and smoked herself to death. And that's all she ever said. Not one bit of emotion when she said it. It's like she had no feelings for her mother. She was a cocktail waitress and a partier, and mom might have been a narcissist. I mean, she might have been being raised as a small girl by two narcissists for all I know, and that's you know, that's not good. So you know, I think a little girl develops some kind of rage in there that she carries through her life, and she wants revenge. The little girl inside of her is locked up in there. She can't get away. She's stuck, 6 years old, inside this grown-up body, and I think she goes to hate her host. And I think she's taking revenge on her host body, on the grown woman, the mother. I guess the little child comes to look at the older one as the mother. But she wants revenge on men, for sure, because of what her father did. And every man that gets close to her, it's like a fight or flight thing, you know. She uses this hit and run tactic. Tear him down and get out. And, what a way to live, huh? So, the other thing is, she doesn't like women. She has no girlfriends. And I once asked her, I says, why don't you have any girlfriends? And she says, well, they get jealous of me. I go, what a weird answer. You know, I mean, a teenager might give an answer like that, but, you know, like, we didn't go much further on the subject. It's like, why are they jealous of her? What, you know, in this day and age, why would your girlfriends be jealous? You know, I would learn later that she likes to go out and, you know, after a couple of my friends. Now you find out, because no one likes a tramp. You know, other women don't like a tramp. They don't trust them. They're afraid they're going to take their men. Another sad revelation there. Now maybe it's time for a break. Yeah. So while we're on the subject of the inner child, I want to go a little bit further with that. You know, sometimes that inner child speaks to us. And I am in 100% positive that that inner child is in there, because it speaks to me. It's spoke to me before. I'll relate an experience I had with one. Unfortunately, I'm what they call an N magnet. I don't know why. Something's damaged somewhere, but I realize I've run across quite a few of them in my life. I've probably briefly encountered like half a dozen different ones, and I understand now. Things went sideways right away, and they were gone. But I've had a couple times where it went much further. In this case, we've been out, and we come back, and go in the living room. Her dog is there, curled up, and she crawls on the couch and kind of puts her head in all the sofa pillows, and her head's kind of down in there. And I lay there with her, and she starts talking, and except it's this squeaky little voice coming out of those pillows. And there's like this little girl telling me that she's afraid, she's scared of the world, and she's afraid that I'm going to leave and things like that. And it's like, I got really weirded out by it, you know. I didn't know what to think. I wasn't ready for that. And, you know, I kind of shook her out of it. And it's just, you know, a long time later, after a lot of studying, I realized that, you know, I was talking to a child that was inside of her. And so, everyone, if you're in the middle of a narcissistic relationship, you might keep that in mind. Be ready when the child speaks to you. And, you know, perhaps engage that child, because maybe that might be your chance to make a breakthrough. It might be your opportunity. You know, think it through. Think of what kind of questions you would ask a small child. You know, where's their mom? Where's their dad? How old are you? You know, what's going on? You know, what's happening to you right now? And, or things like that. You know. But those of you who are in and out, think back. You probably talk to them too. Also in the arguments. Sometimes you're arguing with that kid. Sometimes when you're having a lot of fun, that little child comes out. You'll hear it in the voice when the voice changes. This one was, she wanted to write a book about her life. She felt that her life was so interesting that she could write a best-selling book. And, you know, Oprah would take it and put it on her best-selling list, or she would mention it on TV, and 1 million copies would get sold. Supposedly this book was going to deal with all these men, this long list of men that she's been involved with. And it's going to be enlightening somehow for the reader, maybe other women, to learn something from her experiences. So I thought, well, you know, she's not a writer, but maybe this could be something that would be helpful for her. Maybe she, by writing and going back to the beginning, maybe she might break through and learn something that's blocked or whatever from her childhood. So I encouraged her. Being a writer myself, I says I had help, but you know, there's no way that an end like that is going to let their mate help them with anything. I mean, because they want to be in charge and it's their deal. So, but I got her some software for writing and stuff like that, but she never did anything. Never going to. I mean, talk about it. They talk the talk, but you know, they don't walk the walk much. Long after some things happened, when things calmed down, I'd be talking to her and I would test her memory for some things she said or did during these tense times, and she couldn't remember them. And it's like, you don't remember. Because I says, one time we were having a hard time, and I was harsh with her, and she got scared, and she drew back and did this, that. And I asked her, I says, what is this? And she looked at me and she says, I don't know what that is. I says, well, you did it. And she goes, no, I never did that. I go, you did do it. And I think it was your inner child doing it. And she, this gal had gone to a Catholic school. I don't know, you know, there's some connection there, but, you know, not too many people do that. You know, like you're trying to protect yourself from a vampire or something, I don't know. But she could not remember. And, you know, that's one instance where I was testing her memory and trying to figure out who I was dealing with at any given time. So it's something else to think about. There are little tests that you can do, and you know, it'll get you any closer to something. I don't know, but maybe someday we'll figure something out. You talking to me, Keepy? All right, well, there you have it. If you've got some questions or observations, you know, drop them down below in the comments. You know, feel free to share this thing with anybody else and embed it in your blog. Hit like. And so we'll have a conversation. We'll talk about this stuff, see what we can figure out.